What's up, YouTube? It is your boy JB, and we are here tonight with 4 reviews. So the first one up is going to be Games People Play, which is on season 2. This is episode 1, and the episode is titled "I Saw What You Did." So before we get into this review, if you guys are watching this video or any other video on the channel and are not already subscribed, then I need you guys to do me a big favor. Hit the subscribe button, the like button, the notification bell button, share the video, and with that out the way, without further ado, let's discuss Games People Play. All right, you guys. So the episode opens and it's 3 months, it's 3 months earlier. So this season we're still going to be dealing with the murder of Kalinda, which I thought we wrapped that up last season, right? But I guess not. So with Kalinda, we see her in the back seat of Dante's vehicle, right? Dante believes that she's dead. So this is after Kalinda and Jackie had their whole altercation last season. If you guys don't remember, last season, the whole season revolved around who killed Kalinda Walters, right? And at the season finale, we found out that it was Jackie who killed Kalinda because Jackie and Kalinda got into a fight. Kalinda fell down the flight of stairs, and that was that because Dante, Jackie's husband, who's played by Vanessa Simmons, Dante is gay, remember? So that's that. So, like I said, she's in the backseat of Dante's car, but Dante thought she was dead, but she wasn't dead. So Kalinda came to, she got out the car and she started running. So Dante is chasing him behind her, and Dante calls Marcus on the phone, right? So he's talking to Marcus, and Marcus tells Kalinda, basically, get back in the car, go with Dante to this hotel. So it's interesting, right? So this hotel. Now, if you guys remember from last season, the very first episode of last season, you guys remember that Vanessa caught Marcus as he was cheating with Kalinda, and she punched, Marcus in the face, and then she went and punched Kalinda in the face. So that's where we are. So we're gonna circle back to Kalinda in a little bit, right? Well, actually, after that happened, we saw Vanessa driving later in the episode, and Vanessa hit Kalinda. Now, don't know, if that means anything just yet, but I'm pretty sure we're going to find out, right? So now let's go to, I guess, the present day. So let's move forward, shall we? All right, you guys. So it looks like present day that Marcus and Vanessa have moved into a new house. Now, you guys also remember that Vanessa had sex with the white boy Bryce last season, right? And Vanessa, at the season finale, she found out that she was pregnant, but she did not know who the father was. She didn't know if it was either Marcus or if it was Bryce. But 9 times out of 10, it was Bryce. So Nia is over there, right? Nia is cooking, and Eric is there as well. Eric is Nia's boyfriend, and Nia is her best friend, who is also the reporter, right? She's a reporter. So the reason that Vanessa and Marcus have moved is because, so many people found out where they lived at, right? So she tells Nia that she doesn't know who the father of the baby is, but she thinks it might be, and Nia was like, is it Bryce? She's like, I don't know. I think it might be his, right? So we see Eric, and he's talking to Marcus. So Eric is talking about how, he wants to plan forever with Nia. I'm like, oh, wow. I wonder if they're gonna bring back up the cop, because you guys remember last season that Nia had that little thing with the cop, and I wonder if they're gonna bring that back. So Dante, we see Dante later in the episode, and he's over there talking with Marcus. So Marcus is asking him about where little Jackie is and all this kind of stuff, and he's telling Marcus that Jackie might be getting out of jail because of some new evidence they found, right? That Jackie might not have been the one who killed Kalinda, because they think that Kalinda got hit by a car. Speaking, the car I just told you guys about, Vanessa. So we're going to talk about that a little bit later, how they even came to that realization, right? So they both say that when the last time they saw Kalinda, she was alive. So Dante at this point thinks that it might be Vanessa. He was like, don't even think that shit. So then we see Marcus, right? So Marcus is telling Vanessa about this situation, about Jackie getting out, and that the cops have a new suspect, right? But technically, their new suspect would be Marcus, because well, no, it wouldn't be Marcus's car. It's Vanessa's car. But we'll talk about that. Like I said, we'll talk about that. We definitely will talk about it. So Vanessa then tells him that she cheated on him with Bryce and that the baby is actually Bryce's and not his, right? So after Marcus has told Vanessa all this stuff, Vanessa's like, you know what? I'm gonna take me and Deja and we're gonna get out here. Marcus is like, absolutely not. You're not gonna take my child. So that's not gonna fly. Well, Marcus went out for a little bit, came back home, and guess what? Deja and Vanessa, they're gone. Gone, gone, gone. So we're gonna move on. All right, you guys. So let's talk about Kareem. So Kareem is back. And you guys remember last season with Kareem, him and Jamal had that big issue. And we're going to talk about Jamal in just a little bit, right? Now, you remember him and Quanisha took that money from Jamal that he had on him, right? Because you remember he was extorting Marcus and he was extorting Kareem. That's right. He was extorting them. I just remembered that. So he has the money, right? So Kareem's mom calls him on the phone and she's at the hospital. So Quanisha's like, what's going on with him? He says she didn't say. So we see him. He goes down to the hospital and guess who is laying in a hospital bed? Jamal. I'm like, how in the hell is this nigga still alive? Like Jamal is still alive and kicking, but okay. So he's alive. So Kareem's mom tells him something that I figured last season. I have to go back and look at my reviews to see if I said it. But I figured it out. I figured it last season that Jamal was in fact Kareem's father, and it was confirmed in this episode that's his dad, right? So then we later see Kareem. So Kareem went over to Marcus' crib, right? Marcus is trying to find his brush. He can't find nothing. You know, they knew it's the new house. So then he was like, "Where's Brenda at?" And he said, we'll talk about Brenda in just a little bit. So he tells him, right? So he's like, "Is there anything that we can do to help her?" So then Kareem, let's see, this is typical Marcus because this is all Marcus did in the first season with Kareem. Because Kareem was actually supposed to be the one who went to the pro and not Marcus, but Kareem got hurt and he didn't go pro. So Marcus is sending Kareem on the errands and he's basically still the errand boy. I'm like, dude, didn't you get enough of that last season? So so he's gonna send him to get some lunch and get him a brush. So then Kareem went back to the hospital, right? So Kareem, he's talking to his mother and she is telling him about, Jamal, how when they were together, Jamal wasn't this hustler, this con, this grift that he is now, right? What happened is Jamal went to jail. Now she said that she was an alibi for Jamal, but he still ended up going to jail, which I was confused by that. How, if you were an alibi for him and he was with you at the time, then how did he still end up going to jail? But he went to jail, he got out of jail, and after he got out of jail, that's how he became this, she says jail changed him, and he became the person that we know today. And she said that, she just didn't want Kareem to be around him in that, be around him like that. So that's why he just came around and coached Kareem. So she allowed him to be a part of his son's life, but she did not want him to, well, I mean, shit, still he had an influence on your son. So I don't really know that you did much better. You would have been better off just telling Kareem that that was his father. So, yeah. So then we see Quanisha. Quanisha's counting they stacks of money, right? She called Kareem going off. She was like, "We five short. We five short." He was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "We $5,000 short." He was like, "Yeah, I took $5,000 away." She was like, "For what?" So then he got down on his knees and he proposed to her. Quanisha Lachelle, something like that. I was like, "Oh wow, very interesting." But he proposed to her and she agreed to marry him. So let's pause here and move forward. All right, you guys. So let's move on. Where are we at? So let's talk about Brenda. So Brenda got hemmed up by ICE, right? So Brenda was telling ICE that, hey, so for me not to be deported back to El Salvador, I got a little deal for you. So, I got information on a murder. So let's make a deal. You let me stay in this country, I give you what you want. So then we see her at the police station and she's talking to the police and she's telling the police that she knows a little bit more about the Kalinda Walters murder. So what happened is, you guys remember I told you earlier that Vanessa, when she punched the shit out of Marcus and Kalinda, that she was driving on the road and she hit Kalinda. So Marcus talked to Brenda to ask Brenda, hey, you said your nephew know how to fix cars, right? So the bumper right there is a little bit, beat up and bloody. So can you have him, basically just kind of fix that? So they did fix the bumper, but what Brenda did was she told her nephew to keep the old bumper. I'm like, damn, you ain't shit. So then let's move over to Miss Layla. So we see Layla. Layla is going to be into the same shit that she was into last season. You guys know Layla wants to be famous, basically, right? So Layla is out, and she's, you know how those people be at the at the stores and they give you those free samples to try the stuff, and then for you to hopefully entice you to go inside to buy the stuff. Well, that's what Layla's doing. She's selling chocolate, right? So this agent guy walks by and he's talking to Layla. He's telling her he knows who she is. I'm like, Layla, again, didn't we go through this situation last season where you stole a man's shit and you got kidnapped? I don't know if we want to go down that road, girl. So then, she met up with him for dinner. I'm like, really, Layla? Layla, we went through this last season. So then we see her. So she's talking about her apartment, how it's not a good era. We know about Layla's apartment from last season. So then she goes look at this nice apartment. It actually looked like a mansion, to be quite honest with you guys. So the person, I don't know if it's a he or she, so I'm not going to misgender the person. They were showing her around and she was like, well, I would love this. But then she was like, but I don't think I'll be able to get this. And the person tells her that she's pre-approved, so she got the apartment. You know what, we're going to keep going. So then let's talk about Nia. So Nia's at her house and she got a package at the door. Now the package, I'm like, ooh, is the detective guy sending you gifts again? So she opens it and it's a whip in there with a gag, a ball gag in there, right? So she thinks that Eric sent it. So she goes in and she's messing with Eric. And so she and Eric get it in. Then after they got it in, she's talking to Eric and she thinks that Eric sent it. But Eric informs her, I didn't send that. And he was like, it ain't from, you didn't buy it? She was like, no. But then Eric flipped out. You guys know how Eric is. Eric is a conspiracy theorist. So she said, no. I bought it. So then we see Nia, she's talking to MJ. She asked MJ if MJ bought the package. MJ says, no, he did not buy the package. I was like, girl, you can return that shit. And so she thinks that it's Jebediah. You guys remember Jebediah is the one that she outed last season. So she thinks that it might be Jebediah. So then to wrap up the episode, let's talk about Jackie. So Jackie's lawyer, Carl, comes in, right? And this is where Carl was telling Jackie that he can file a motion that can get Jackie out of jail because there's new evidence that's come to light that there may be there may be another person of interest that may have killed Kalinda Walters. So that's the end of the first episode, you guys. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Great opening episode. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell button so you guys are notified when I drop anything else. Share the video and until the next one, stay safe, take care of yourselves. Remember to wash your hands, wear your mask, social distance, be blessed, and I'm going to see you guys later. So I got to do Queens next, and then I'm going to have to go watch The Oval and Our Kind of People. So I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.